Its alarms cut through the vaulted concourse of Conclave Station like an animal in pain. Red glyphs poured across the hollow screen above the security gate, symbols translating themselves into panicked common tongue. Superviolence survivor a class. Extinctive. Elias Kade stopped mid-step. He felt the weight of 100 alien eyes pressing down on him. Some froze where they stood. Others recoiled as though he were radioactive. A four-eyed Wyware merchant dropped his cargo of glassy orbs, the orbs shattering in sharp, crystalline pops. The guards reacted first. 3 of them snapped their weapons into ready position, barrels humming. The closest, a scaled creature with mirrored eyes, hissed, "Remain still, human." Elias raised his hands slowly, jaw tight. "I'm not armed." "That isn't what the scanner says," another guard muttered. Its mandibles clicked as it leaned closer to the glowing display. "No one survives a class extinctive." The terminal continued to shriek until a dark hand slapped it silent. The station's chief magistrate himself had arrived, Varix Thal, towering, robed, his pale tendrils coiled tight around his shoulders like serpents. His eyes, black pools ringed with silver, locked on Elias with icy calculation. "Bring him forward." The guards surrounded Elias, prodding him toward a cordoned chamber behind the checkpoint. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A human survived the impossible. Some whispered it with awe, others with fear. Elias kept his shoulders squared, refusing to look shaken. Inside the chamber, the noise dulled. Varix circled him slowly, hands folded behind his back. "You triggered our highest alarm," the magistrate said at last. His voice was measured, but Elias caught the undertone: accusation. "No record exists of any being surviving exposure to an extinctive class weapon. And yet," he gestured to Elias' chest, "the evidence is written on your flesh." Elias' shirt hung open from the examination, exposing jagged burn scars carved across his ribs, climbing to his collarbone, trailing down his back. He didn't flinch under the alien's gaze. "You call them evidence," Elias said evenly. "I call them scars." "Scars," Varix repeated, almost tasting the word. "No. They are anomalies. A human body should have been erased. Every atom unspooled into radiation." He leaned close, tendrils shifting like restless snakes. "And yet you stand here breathing." Elias met his stare. "You want the story?" "I demand it." Elias inhaled slowly. "It happened 6 months ago, at Targon Rift. My unit was escorting a civilian convoy. No warning, no comms, just a light across the stars brighter than fusion. Then heat. Pain like my bones boiling. When I woke, the convoy was gone. My ship was debris. Everyone I knew was ash." His voice dropped. "Everyone but me." The magistrate studied him in silence. Finally, he spoke. "Your survival destabilizes everything. Entire treaties were signed under the assumption that such weapons are absolute. Your existence challenges the order." Elias let a bitter smile tug at his lips. "So the problem isn't that someone fired that thing on a civilian convoy. The problem is I lived through it." The guard at the doorway shifted uneasily. Even the alien could sense the sharpness in his tone. Varix, however, only smiled thinly. "Tell me, Commander," the magistrate said, deliberately using the title, "do all humans resist extinction? Or just you?" Elias didn't answer. He could feel the trap in the question. Admit humanity's resilience, and they'd fear his people as living weapons. Deny it, and he'd seem like an anomaly to be studied, dissected. "I'm not here to play into your politics," he said. "I'm here to serve as liaison. Humanity joined this station in good faith. And already you have sown fear." Varix turned to the guards. "Quarantine him." The order landed like a blow. Elias clenched his fists but forced himself still as the guards closed in. "You think locking me up will make the truth easier to swallow?" he asked. "The truth," Varix said coldly, "is negotiable." They led him down metallic corridors, past observation panels where alien eyes followed. Some looked on with terror, others with a strange reverence, as though Elias had walked out of a myth. He felt each stair carved deeper than the scars on his chest. The cell they gave him wasn't harsh, clean walls, a narrow bunk, dim light, but confinement pressed in heavier than the armor he once wore. He sat, elbows on his knees, staring at the faint shimmer of the energy barrier sealing the door. A shadow moved on the other side. A guard lingered there, hesitant. After a pause, the alien leaned closer, voice low. "Is it true?" it asked. Its accent bent the common tongue into rough syllables. "You stood in the heart of an extinctive and lived?" Elias met its gaze through the barrier. The alien's mirrored eyes showed only his own scarred reflection staring back. "I didn't live through it," he said quietly. "I survived it. There's a difference." The guard studied him a moment longer, then stepped back into the shadows. Alone again, Elias lay back on the bunk, mind racing. The scanner alarm had been too loud, too public. Varix could have silenced it discreetly. Instead, the magistrate had let the whole concourse witness it. Someone wanted humanity exposed. Elias stared at the ceiling, the hum of the barrier steady in his ears. He remembered the blinding light of the rift, the screams cut short, the silence after. His unit deserved justice. But now the galaxy only saw him as a riddle. He whispered to the empty cell, "They think the scars are the story. They don't know they're the warning." The barrier light pulsed once, almost in answer, before settling back to its steady glow. And in that silence, Elias Kade realized the game had already begun. The barrier dissolved without warning. Elias jerked upright on the bunk as two guards entered, weapons low but ready. Behind them strode a figure half his height, covered in polished chitin plates patterned with iridescent green. The insectoid diplomat, Scholar Keth of the Zyral Collective, raised both forelimbs in a gesture of peace. "I insisted they let me speak with you," Keth clicked. "Not all of us believe the magistrate's narrative." Elias studied the alien carefully. He'd learned the hard way never to trust first offers of help. "And what narrative is that?" "That you are a weapon," Keth replied simply. "Or worse, a symptom. The station hums with rumors. Some say humans have bred themselves to resist extinction. Others whisper you carry the weapon within you." Elias exhaled through his nose. "I'm flesh and blood. Nothing more." Keth tilted his head, multifaceted eyes glittering. "Scars that survived an extinctive class strike are not nothing. They are history etched into you. Proof that the impossible is not absolute." The phrase lingered. Proof. Elias hated the way it sounded, like he had become less a man and more a relic to be examined. "Why come here, then?" Elias asked. "Because," Keth said, lowering his voice, "if the Clythar truly fired that weapon at you, they broke every treaty binding this conclave. If it becomes known, war will follow." Elias' pulse quickened. Finally, a direction. "You're saying Varix covered for them." The scholar hesitated. "I am saying Varix has too much interest in burying your survival. He insists you are a danger. But I have seen enough to know the danger lies in those who would silence you." The words settled like a stone in Elias' chest. He leaned forward. "Then help me prove it." Keth's antennae twitched. "Evidence exists, in the radiation signature of your scars. But to access it, we must take you to a medica chamber, outside the magistrate's control. That will not be simple." Before Elias could answer, the guards shifted uneasily. One muttered, "Enough, scholar. We risk enough already." Keth straightened. "Then risk more. Truth demands it." They moved him at night, through maintenance corridors humming with recycled air and faint vibrations from the station's rotating rings. Keth guided the way, his smaller body darting between shadows while Elias followed, flanked by two reluctant guards who had apparently chosen a side. The medica chamber was sterile, its walls lined with translucent tanks of suspended organisms. Elias lay back on a diagnostic slab while machinery hummed overhead. Cold instruments traced along the ridges of his scars. "Hold still," Keth murmured. "We must read the radiation woven into your tissue." Elias clenched his jaw as the machine probed deeper, nerves sparking. Feels like you're trying to carve the memory out of me. In a way, yes. Keth adjusted the controls. The radiation pattern is unique, an imprint from the weapon's core. If matched against known signatures, we will know who fired it. Minutes stretched. Finally, the display resolved into a spiraling cascade of data. Keth's antennae froze. This should not exist, he whispered. Elias pushed himself upright. What do you see? The weapon was Clythar design, but modified. It was not meant to destroy structures or fleet. It was engineered to erase biology, to unwind genetic matter itself. Elias felt cold flood his gut. Then why am I still here? That is the question. Keth tapped the display. The weapon should have erased every cell in your body. Instead, your DNA shows resistance. Not immunity, no, but adaptation. You lived where nothing should. Elias slid off the slab, fists tight. So to them, I'm not a survivor. I'm a mistake. And mistakes terrify the powerful. Keth's voice was low. The magistrate will not allow this to spread. If you speak openly, they will call you a liar, or remove you before you can. The chamber lights flickered. A warning chime cut through the room. Elias spun toward the door. Keth's mandibles clattered in alarm. Security is coming. Too soon. The guards raised weapons, eyes wide. We've been traced. Elias' instincts surged to the forefront. Then we move. They bolted through the service corridor, alarms rising behind them. Doors hissed open, revealing patrols ahead. Elias grabbed the nearest guard's sidearm without hesitation, firing 2 precise bursts that cracked against the walls, forcing the patrol back. He shouted over the din, "Where's the nearest exit to the civilian levels?" Keth scuttled at his side. Section 12, but we must bypass the magistrate's checkpoints. Then we don't go through them, we go around. Elias shoved forward, leading the group into a narrow maintenance shaft. Heat pressed down from power conduits above, sweat beading on his brow. They burst out into a half-lit docking bay. Empty crates were stacked like makeshift barricades, shadows deep in every corner. Elias scanned quickly, weapon steady. "We'll hold here," he said. "Catch our breath." One of the guards cursed in his native tongue. "They will corner us." "Then we make noise," Elias said flatly. "Better to be hunted in the open than buried in a cell." Keth looked up at him, chitin plates catching the dim light. "You speak like a soldier still." Elias' grip on the weapon tightened. "That's all I've ever been." For a moment, silence fell. The bay's hum filled the air, the faint echo of boots and claws growing closer. Elias could feel the scars on his chest burn, as if remembering the rift. He met Keth's gaze. "If the magistrate wants to paint me as a threat, then let's give him a reason to fear the truth." The scholar clicked once, a sharp sound of agreement. "Then we show them survival is not weakness. It is power." Boots clanged against the deck outside. Voices barked orders in alien tongues. The sound drew closer. Elias steadied his weapon, shoulders squared. He wasn't about to let the galaxy decide what his scars meant. That story would be his to tell. The first squad poured into the bay. And Elias Kade, survivor of the impossible, took aim. The tribunal chamber of Conclave Station was built to impress. It rose in tiers of marble-white stone, each level packed with alien dignitaries cloaked in their colors. Their eyes, compound, multifaceted, luminous, slit, or shadow-black, focused on one figure at the center dais. Elias Kade stood unarmed, scars bared beneath the harsh light. The murmurs hadn't stopped since he entered. Words hissed in a dozen tongues. Extinctive survivor, anomaly, weapon. At the high seat stood Magistrate Varix Thal, silver-ringed eyes sharp as blades. His voice carried like cold iron. "This tribunal convenes to address the human anomaly. Evidence suggests Commander Kade is not merely a man but a destabilizing force, perhaps even an engineered weapon. For the security of all, humanity's place here must be reconsidered. A ripple of approval swept across certain delegations. Others shifted uneasily. Elias straightened his spine. He had only one chance to cut through the fear. "You call me anomaly," he said, voice low but steady, "but I didn't come here to argue definitions. I came to tell the truth. 6 months ago, at Targon Rift, my unit was hit by a weapon designed to erase life itself. Everyone died. I didn't. And instead of asking who fired it or why it was used on civilians, you brand me the problem." A delegate with glassy skin barked, "Survival where none is possible is the problem." Elias turned toward the voice. "No. The problem is that someone here thought it was worth testing on human lives. And the magistrate would rather bury that fact than confront it." All eyes shifted to Varric. The magistrate's tendrils twitched, but his expression didn't crack. "Empty accusations," he said smoothly. "Convenient stories told by a scarred soldier desperate to appear significant." "Stories don't leave radiation signatures," Elias shot back. He glanced at Scholar Keth in the observer's tier. The insectoid rose, mandibles clicking as he activated a holodisplay. Blue light spilled into the chamber, showing Elias' DNA spiraling alongside the unique energy trace. "This pattern," Keth announced, "matches the Clythar's modified extinctive class design. It was engineered for biological erasure. The commander's tissue bears the imprint. Proof beyond denial." Gasps spread. Several delegations erupted in overlapping speech. Elias pressed forward. "The Clythar used a weapon meant to unmake people. And when one man survived, instead of outrage, you fear me. Ask yourselves, if it had been your fleet, would you call your survivor a danger? Or a warning?" The chamber's noise swelled, but a booming gavel strike silenced it. Varric's voice cut through like a blade. "This is manipulation. The human conspires with lesser minds to undermine our order. He must be contained before his kind spreads chaos." Elias held his ground. "No, magistrate. I think what you fear isn't me. It's what I represent. Proof that your weapons, your power, your control aren't absolute." For the first time, Varric's silver-ringed eyes narrowed with visible anger. "You overstep." The chamber doors slammed open. Armed guards stormed in, weapons leveled, too many for a routine escort. Their movements were sharp, rehearsed. Elias understood immediately. This wasn't arrest. It was removal. The nearest guard raised his rifle. Elias dove behind the dais as the weapon discharged, crackling energy searing the stone. Shouts erupted. Delegates scrambled for cover, robes flaring as they rushed the exits. Keth's voice pierced the chaos. "Protect him! If he dies here, the truth dies with him." Elias rolled to cover, grabbed the fallen rifle of a guard too slow, and fired back with soldier's precision. The first attacker dropped. The rest pressed forward. Through the chaos, Varrix remained unmoving at his dais, tendrils coiling tighter, eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "You see," the magistrate roared above the noise. "The human is violence incarnate." Elias squeezed the trigger, forcing the attackers back. His voice cracked across the chamber. "No! I'm not violence. I'm survival. You fired a weapon meant to erase me, and I'm still here. That's what you fear." He ducked as energy bolts scorched the dais. His scars seared with phantom heat, memories of the rift colliding with the present. But this time, he wasn't alone. The younger of the guards who had aided him earlier rushed in from the flank, covering fire with disciplined bursts. Delegates shouted, torn between panic and awe. Elias surged forward, eyes fixed on Varric. The magistrate was already backing toward a hidden exit, veil of composure cracking. "Running!" Elias shouted. "What happened to order?" Varric turned once, eyes like knives. "Order requires sacrifice. Humanity should have been erased cleanly. You are the infection left behind." Elias closed the distance, rifle raised. For a heartbeat, silence pressed in. His scars burned as if the rift itself were watching. Then he lowered the weapon. His voice carried, steady and cutting, You think survival is infection. But it's our strength. We're not weapons. We're warnings. You can try to erase us, but we will outlast your fire. Delegates froze, words sinking deeper than the violence. Varix's sneer faltered. Guards hesitated, unsure whether to advance. Keth's voice rose, commanding and sharp. The magistrate stands complicit in atrocity. The human does not carry extinction. He survived it. Which of you fears truth enough to silence it? Silence spread like a wave. One by one, delegations turned, not toward Elias, but toward Varix. Accusation in their eyes. The magistrate hissed, realization dawning that the tide had shifted. His tendrils writhed, but no command left his lips. Elias stood tall in the center of the chamber, chest bare, scars illuminated by the tribunal light. You call us fragile, he said, voice steady as stone. But we survive what kills empires. Remember that. No one moved. The truth had already landed.